The basic premise that we have to bear in mind is that the Word and the Torah are two books written by the same author. You understand what I said? Right? The Word is also like a book written by Borei Olam, right? And both of them have the same author. Therefore, it will be impossible to conceive that you will have a conflict between these two books. Creation, or the Word, and the Torah should be consistent because they have the same author. Clear? Now, is our book, the Torah, Bereshit, consistent with what we know in science about the creation of the world? Open question. Is it consistent? Is it compatible?
Yes.
Or no? There are some differences.
There's differences, no?
Yeah.
Are there some differences? Yes.
According to the book that I read, they're pretty on par.
They're pretty?
According to your book that I
Okay.
read, they're pretty, you could find parallels.
Right, you can find parallels, yes.
But
there are
science doesn't believe in creation, it believes in Big Bang Theory.
science doesn't believe in creation, believes in Big Bang. Okay, that I don't think this is the main question. This is a question that is easy to solve. But let me present to you the main questions as they are usually understood. Okay, because most people have a notion of creation that they bring from kindergarten. So my proposal to you will be to review the 6 days of creation. Let's review it in a normal way. Forget about what you read in the book, okay? I just want to know what everybody knows or what everybody thinks about creation. All right, so what did Hashem create in the first day? What did he create in the first day? Life? No. Light? Well, that's a very good point. Okay. So, this is a tricky question. Why is it a tricky question? Because what does it mean in the first day? The first day means the text of the first day? Or the text day means the chronological first day? So let me give you the two answers, okay? So if you're talking about the text of the first day, the text, which means from Pasuk number 1 to Pasuk number 5, yes, Borei Olam created in that text, in the text of the first day, Shamayim va'aretz, right? Which means all matter, right? The universe as we know it, and planet Earth as two separate entities, although quantitatively they are completely, different, and there is no proportion between our little Earth and the rest of the universe. But qualitatively, planet Earth is distinguished, okay, by the Torah. Now, the second pasuk says, "Ve'eretz tohu vavohu," and the earth was without life, etc. And the beginning of the first day actually starts in pasuk number 3. Let me explain to you. When does the first day finish? Or with what? Vayerev, Vayiboker, Yom Echad, right? And there was evening, and there was morning, day 1. What created the transition between night or evening and day? What?
The light.
Light, right? Whenever that light like this, we will refer to that later. Now, if the end of the first day occurs or happens by the transition of light, so when does the first day begin? When does it begin? It should begin with the creation of light. And the creation of light took place in Pasuk number 3. So, technically, from Pasuk number 3 to Pasuk number 5, we have the first day. Okay? Therefore, Pasuk number 1 and Pasuk number 2, in the beginning God created heavens and earth, happened in an undefined time before the first day. Clear? This is something that we are not taught in kindergarten, not even in high school. All right? So that gives you some type of answer to the classical question, which for me is not the most difficult question, regarding, the age of the earth. All right, that's first day. Let's go to the second day. What happened in the second day? What did God create in the second day? And there is so much myth and ignorance on this second day. If you read, there is a book called Bereshit Bara, about the creation, written by a scientist, which it might not be, dealing with first-hand Jewish sources. So there are many scientists, Jewish scientists, that they wrote very good books on creation, whose expertise is science. But you need to have some expertise also in Bible and in Hebrew and understanding what the pasuk says. All right. So he says, water, that Hashem divided water, the upper waters from the lower waters, and he points out that some water that exists beyond our atmosphere, etc., etc., etc. So, but what is the creation of the second day? The second day is so important, and it's not only important. It shows you the sequence, the progression that you can find, and you must find between the first day, second day, third day, and fourth day, and fifth day, etc. Okay? So the second day, as I explained in my book, Borei Olam created rain. Now, in order to create rain, why do you need rain, by the way? Why do you need rain? Because you need, in this, if you want life, which is the main objective of creation, let's say intelligent life, but first was life, okay, you need fresh water. If you don't have fresh water, you cannot have life as we know it. You cannot have animal life as we know it, except for fish, without fresh water. All right? And the only source of fresh water is in lakes and subterranean fresh water is rain. Okay? Now, what had to happen in order for rain to be produced? What elements do you need for rain to be produced? You need for evaporation to happen. Okay? So you need the sun. We'll see what happened with the sun, because apparently the sun was created which day? The fourth day. Here we have the first great contradiction. The sun was created the fourth day. This is what we have been taught. This is what your children are taught in kindergarten or in first grade or second grade. But so it doesn't make sense. First of all, it doesn't make sense that we have day and night without the sun, and it doesn't make sense that we will have rain. This is why part of the people that explain the 6 days of Bereshit, they don't see that the second day talks about the creation of rain. Clear? All right. Now, why do we need fresh water? I said because fresh water is necessary, absolutely necessary for life. Now, there is something else. Creating fresh water or creating rain implies also the creation of the weather system. In order to have rain, you have to have the sun. In order to have rain, you need to have wind. In order to have rain, you need to have also ocean water. There was ocean water. When was ocean water created? Bereshit barei Hashem et haaretz. When it says haaretz, the second pasuk tells us that ruach Elohim merachefet al penei hamayim. Right? There was water. The inventory, the first initial inventory of Earth, of planet Earth, included water, but not fresh water, but ocean water, salted water, which is not suitable for most forms of life, as we know. All right. So now we have the first day, matter is created. The second day, the climate is created. And the climate also produces the most important, the most vital cycle for the existence of most forms of life, which is the cycle of water, the creation of fresh water. Okay, all fresh water comes and came from precipitation. There is no other, and as far as we know, some scientists say, there was discovered water here, water there. Maybe there is some water in Mars. They say they have no evidence. Maybe there is some water in one of the moons of Saturn, etc. but if they talk about water, they will always refer to maybe ice, and in the best case scenario, salted water. Because there is no such a thing, never was discovered, as evaporation, precipitation, as the cycle of water as we know here. This is part of the wonders of Boreolam's creation, and we have a whole day, the second day, dedicated to that. There is another reason why people don't get that rain and fresh water was created in this day, because there is one midrash that says that Adam HaRishon prayed for water, prayed for rain, okay, and he got rain. But that midrash, if you see the commentaries and the explanation, refers to some, not to the beginning of the rain, but to some need of Adam HaRishon to rain where he lived, but not for the existence of rain in general. Okay. What happened the third day? What happened the third day? What was created the third day? Hello? The third day, Hashem separated the water from the dry land. So the dry land appeared, was not created. Actually, if you pay attention to the story of creation, how many creations from nothing we find? You understand my question? In the second day, was there any creation from nothing?
No.
The mechanism of weather was created, but not from nothing. Boreolam arranged the mechanism, of the climate, wind, heat from whatever source it came, salted water to become precipitation and fresh water, but there is no new creation. All right? It's a byproduct of the creation of heat, light, water, etc., wind. Okay. The third day also, the dry land appeared, the dry land appeared from below. The water separated. I might add that perhaps the ocean currents were created, so all the system of the oceans were created on the third day. And what else was created on the third day? Immensely important, plants. Once you have dry land, you have then plants. Now, there are some Jewish scientists that they say, they read superficially the Torah, they say, well, you cannot have plants. That contradicts science. Why? Because you don't have sun. Because the sun was created only in the fourth day. And if you put on top of that, those opinions that say that rain was created in the sixth day or after Adam HaRishon was created, then it's impossible, it's scientifically or factually impossible to have plants without having rain and without having sun. All right? So the third day, plants were created. Now, are plants life? The Torah doesn't refer to plants as life. The Torah refers to plants as food. Now, obviously, this is not a book of science, so you cannot expect the Torah to give you the chemical formula and all the structure of the molecules or the cells, etc. All right, but the Torah is very briefly. It gives you hints to very important information that never contradicts scientific information. That's why I said that you have two books written by the same author. Okay. Now, the third day we have the creation of plants, which are going to serve as food for animals and food for men. Right? With that purpose, they were created. Right? Now, Boreolam made these plants appear from earth. This is the first living organism, but they are not called such. They are called later on food. Okay? Plants are food. Now, something else that the Torah is not telling us, but we can see, is the following: that Boreolam is creating and preparing everything for living organisms. Okay? So first of all, you need matter, then you need a climate, then you need fresh water, second day. Fresh water that renews itself all the time, the cycle of water. What else you need for living organisms to live? You need food that renews itself all the time, like plants, with seeds that renew themselves. All right? We take it for granted, but this is a miracle, that plants are renewing themselves. And there is something else that, of course, is not explicit here, but you can see that. You can see as part of a sequence what else is there that plants give to the world and are preparing the hosting place for life. Oxygen. And plants are in charge of renewing O2, free oxygen. All right? So we have almost everything we need now for life. Mind you that, you have to understand, to me personally, this is like one of the biggest, I don't need proofs, but it's one of the biggest evidences that no man could have written a Torah with such precise information about the development of creation, which is something that only right now we are aware of, how things have to evolve and what do you need, what are the steps that you need from non-organic matter to life, and what are the preconditions that life requires to exist. So you have all the preconditions here in these 3 days. Perhaps the most misunderstood day is the 4th day. The 4th day. Because we all have been taught that in the 4th day, Hashem created the sun and the moon. Let's talk about the sun. All right? That's not what our sources said. All right? Granted, yes, I admit, there is a machloket. As always, we are Jewish, everything is about discussion. I think I told you once, what is the shortest book ever written in the history of humankind? Did I tell you this? The shortest book ever written in the history of humankind is all the subjects, all the topics, what all Jews agree upon. That's the shortest book ever. Okay? So it is expected to have machloket. But that's the minority opinion. The minority opinion says that is the Oraganus, is an independent type of light, etc., miraculous light, but most rabbis, and among them one of the most important rabbis ever, who is Rabbi Akiva, right, one of the most important rabbis, and this is quoted by the Midrash, and it is quoted by the most important commentator of the Torah, which is Rashi. He comments on that, he brings that in his commentary. He says that the sun was created the first day. Then, when you have this in mind, all of a sudden, all the questions that you have are solved. Because if the sun was there, then I understand that there could be rain. If the sun was there, I understand that could be the transition between day and night. If the sun was there, I understand that plants can exist. If the sun is there, now everything makes sense. Without the sun, nothing makes sense. If you believe that the sun was created in the 4th day, then you have a big inconsistency between these 2 books written by the same author. Now, when you find an inconsistency between creation and the Torah, is because we are reading wrongly one of the books, one of these 2 books. All right? In this case, I believe that we read wrongly, not creation, but the Torah. Okay? Now, let me explain to you. If the sun would have been created, okay, what word would have the Torah been using? Because again, in order to understand deeply Bereshit or anything, what is the most important tool that you need? Most important tool that you need? Hebrew. And Hebrew is very subtle. For example, to say create, for this verb or for this action, you have different verbs. Let me give you 3. Okay? One of them is bara. Bara means bringing something from non-existent to existence. Okay? This is a verb that is never, ever attributed to man. Because man cannot create from zero. This is creation from nothing. A new creation. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. In the beginning, God created heavens and earth. From where? From nothing. From zero. We don't believe in a prime matter, as Plato believed. We don't believe in eternal matter or eternal universe, as Aristotle believed. We believe that there was an act of creation that is impossible for us to grasp. Impossible. We never seen. Have you ever seen an act of creation? Anyone?
Never.
No, you cannot see. Now we say creation is a creator of this painting. Oh wow, all right. No, but that's not technically creation for us. So this is the first verb, bara. Then you have another verb called yatsar. Yatsar means forming, all right? Which means I have dust, and from the dust, Borei Olam yatsar et adam bechokmah. From the dust, Borei Olam formed the human body. Attention, body, all right? Why? Because we are created from the dust, in the sense of atoms. Our body is made of atoms, isn't it? These are atoms, all right? Atoms turn into cells, etc. But bottom line, we are atoms. Our body is atoms, all right? There is something that is not atoms, which is our neshama, our soul, which is divine. And guess what? Guess what? I have news for you. When the Torah relates the creation of the neshama, what verb do you think it uses? Bara. You understand? Creation of man is yatsar, of the body. But bara alludes to the creation of the neshama. We find 3 times the verb bara in the first chapter. Okay, I gave you 2, right? The creation of matter and the creation of, in my own words, intelligent life. Human life, intelligent life. Okay? So let's go back to the 4th day. If the sun was not created on the first day, so what happened in the first day? What happened? Now, I told you that there are 2 verbs. I mentioned 2 verbs regarding creation, right? One is bara, creating from nothing. One is yatsar, creating from something. Now there is another verb, which is the most used verb in the whole story of creation. That verb is la'asot. La'asot. And if you think about it, when the 10 Commandments or other texts of the Torah talk about creation, they use more la'asot than any other thing. So what is la'asot? La'asot is to give, is to improve something, to recreate something. Yet bara is from nothing. Yatsar is from something. Now after I have an element, I give it its best status. When it reaches the best status or the final status, this is called la'asot. You understand? So for example, Borei Olam created in the first pasuk, created the earth and water and the sun, as she explains, and wind, the ruach Elohim echefet ha'karamayim. Ruach there doesn't mean the spirit. Okay, the Christians they say spirit, but we say Targum Unkelus, and main mefarshim, main commentaries say ruach is wind. All right. Now, with these elements, Borei Olam vayas et harakia. When he created the atmosphere and all that it encompasses for the creation of water, it says vayas. It uses the verb la'asot, which means to give its final condition. All right. So, what verb would you expect to find in the 4th day, according to what I'm telling you, if the sun was not created in that day? So we shouldn't find any bara, right? The word bara shouldn't be there, and it's not there. So what verbs are there? There are 2 verbs. One verb is vayas. I'm going to give you now a different reading, completely different reading from what you must have heard in the past. Vayomer Elohim yehi meorot birkia hashamayim. Translate for me.
There will be lights in the sky.
Right. It says,
Right.
let there be luminaries in the firmament. Birkia hashamayim. Now, what will be the word that you would emphasize here? So probably in the hymn, let there be lights, luminaries. Okay. I want to emphasize a different word. I want to emphasize the word birkia shamayim. Let there be these lights in the firmament, whatever that firmament is. All right, it's a special place. I'm basing my explanation on two things. That when the Torah describes the next step, what is the next step in creating or in making the luminaries? The next step here is Vaiten otam Elohim birkia shamayim. The actual action that Hashem did is to place them, to position them. I'm going to explain in a second what is them. Where they have to be. In that place called Rakia Hashamayim. So it's more a placement than a creation. And this is how the rabbis had explained it. This is how Rashi explains that. Let me tell you exactly the words that the rabbis and Rashi used to describe the action of the fourth day. Bayom HaRevi'i nitlu hameorot. This is how they explain the actions of the fourth day. What does it mean? Bayom HaRevi'i, in the fourth day, the meorot, the luminaries were placed, were hung, suspended. All right? I add in their final place. This is what I add. Now, why is this so important and revolutionary? So I'm going to give you my interpretation based on the correct reading of the Hebrew, a precise reading of the Hebrew, and based on what the rabbis explained. All right? So this is my interpretation, and this is only now, thanks to modern scientific information, that I can appreciate what the rabbis said 2,000 years ago. This is what I know now. Now, what was created in the fourth day? Remind me, please.
Sun.
Be precise. Sun, moon, and stars. Okay. Now, stars, it's a little bit, it's a little bit ambiguous word. Now, let me explain so it's not so confusing. Let me interpret stars at this moment as the visible stars. Let's say the solar system. Let's talk about the planets. Can we live with that? That Kochavim are the planets. Okay? Now, this is what happens. You need water for life. Life is going to come next, and then I'm going to talk about the dinosaurs. But I need to give you this introduction for the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs is the easiest part. Now, they need water, fresh water. Dinosaurs or any animals cannot live without fresh water. Okay? Now, what do you need for the existence of fresh water? Because it's like one of the biggest miracles ever. Okay? So, you need a very, very precise distance between the sun and planet Earth. Okay? Which I know in kilometers is 150 million kilometers. How is in miles? 93 million miles. Okay, between the sun and Earth. Now, if this distance is modified, let's say 1%, which in terms of the universe or even the solar system is nothing, zero. What is 1%? Is nothing. If this distance would be modified 1% further from the sun, then we wouldn't be able to have liquid water. Nor oceans, nor evaporation, nothing. If we would be, I think it's even less than 1%, okay? But let's talk about 1%. If Earth would be 1% closer to the sun, we couldn't have liquid water. Then life cannot exist 1% further, 1% closer. It has to be exactly here. Okay, now, the positioning of Earth here is depending on more or less, 160, at least 160 different factors. Okay? What I'm talking about? I'm talking about the existence of Mercury here. If Mercury wouldn't be here, Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun, if Mercury wouldn't be here, then the Sun would exert more gravity to the Earth, and Earth will be at least 1% closer to the Sun, life cannot exist. If Venus wouldn't be here, then Earth would be closer, much closer, and life couldn't exist. There is no liquid water, couldn't exist, okay? Now, if Mars wouldn't be here, exerting its gravity, then Earth would be also off, that precise place where it is. Now, not only Mars have 2 moons, okay? If these 2 moons of Mars wouldn't be where they are, Mars wouldn't be where it is. And if Mars wouldn't be where it is, Earth wouldn't be where it is. Okay? Perhaps one of the most important variables is the moon. If the moon wouldn't be where it is, Earth wouldn't be where it is, and life wouldn't exist. Now let me continue. It's not only, let's put the sun a little further, and now I have Mars here, and now is the turn of Saturn. Saturn is a huge planet. How many moons has Saturn? Nobody knows exactly, but more or less. How many moons? How many moons?
22.
More than 60.
I think it's good.
More than 60. More than 60 moons. If one of those moons wouldn't be there, one of these moons, Saturn would be in a different place, and it would exert a different gravitation toward Earth. Earth wouldn't be here, life wouldn't exist. Each one of these moons is responsible for the existence of life, indirectly. If Jupiter wouldn't be here, the gas giant, these are gas planets, these are rocky planets, the first 4. The last 4, but I'm not counting Pluto, they're gas giants. If Jupiter wouldn't be there, Earth wouldn't be here. And if Earth wouldn't be here, life cannot exist. Jupiter also has more than 60 moons. Alright? So if one of the moons wouldn't be where it is, then life cannot exist. And the same thing with Uranus and Neptune. And they also have like 20 moons, another 20 moons. There are no less than 150 moons in our solar system, without counting, how you say in English, Pluto? Pluto. Without counting Pluto, you have more than 150 moons. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is not only the distance. All what I say about the distance, you have to multiply now by another factor, which is mass. If Jupiter wouldn't be as big as it is, would be a little smaller, then Earth wouldn't be what it is. And the same thing for Saturn, for all the moons of Saturn, for all the moons of Jupiter, for the 2 moons of Mars, of course for the moon of the Earth, Venus and Mercury, they don't have moons, and for the mass of Venus and for the mass of Mercury. Any small variable in any of these factors would have affected the placement of the Earth. The Earth is placed like within a puzzle of planets in the perfect place, so the average temperature is 14 degrees Celsius that can maintain water in a liquid state, which is the most important factor for the existence of life as we know it. And in the place where evaporation can happen in the right amount to produce precipitation in the right amount. This is an incredible delicate balance. It's an incredible fine-tuning. I think, when you think about this, it's the biggest miracle. Okay? So I believe that this is what happened the 4th day. As our rabbis explained, the placement of the luminaries. Bayom HaRevi'i nitlu HaMeorot. With this advanced scientific information, now I can understand. And I'm amazed how the rabbis said this. I mean, what must have people 2,000 years ago thought when they say, the rabbi says, "Hey, Vayom Ravini Tura Meorot," what might they have thought? Wow, what a wasted day! It's just the hanging of the luminaries, wasted. What does it? So it should have, it took 2,000 years for me to understand, or to try to understand, the wisdom of what the rabbi says, and the incredible thing that happened the fourth day. Makes sense? I don't want to tell you, there is a book called The Privileged Planet, another book called The Improbable Planet. Very good, these two books. They go beyond this. But I don't have enough knowledge, but I'm going to mention to you. They go beyond the solar system. They said, it's not just the solar system as I described to you, it's also the place of the solar system, which is a very tiny thing in our galaxy, and the shape of our galaxy. Only in a galaxy that is a spiral, life could happen, but it's too much information. And only in the, you know what clusters means? That there are galaxies and clusters of galaxies. And only in a cluster that is so and so, that I don't even know how to reproduce that, this balance can happen. So this goes way beyond my knowledge. But I think that what I explained to you about the solar system is strong enough to understand what happened the fourth day. Okay. Now that we have matter, we have water, fresh water, we have a climate, we have plants, we have oxygen, we have dry land, we have a temperature that is stable and that can allow for the cycle of water, which is the most important action of the earth, to happen. Now, let's say welcome to life. Now is the fifth day. Only now, Borei Olam creates life. Okay, so I'm going to read for you what the pasuk says, but I just wanted you to see how marvelous is this development, how precise it is. There is nothing lacking from the scientific point of view, and even though the Torah is not a book of science, everything written here is compatible with our modern scientific knowledge. Now, Vayomer Elohim and Borei Olam said, Ishretzu hamayim sheres nefesh chaya, let the waters produce life. Living organism or living animals, or living creatures. Okay? Now we go to the next pasuk. This is pasuk 21, chapter 1, pasuk 21. This is what this pasuk says. Listen to this. Vaibra. Whoa, this sounds familiar, right? What is Vaibra?
Creation.
God created out of nothing. This is the second time we find this verb. The first time was the creation of matter. The second time is the first time the Borei creates life, animal life. All right. So it says, "Vaivra Elohim et ataninim hagedolim," and God created the taninim hagedolim. All right. Now you will not find a good translation of these two words. And I don't want to arrogate, I know the right, but I'm going to present it to you so you can translate it. There are biased translations here. So, like in that book there, that is a very biased book. Sorry. This book, which is, I would say, unfortunately, this the bestseller translation is a biased book. All right. This book believes that the Torah, Chas v'Shalom, is a myth. This book is written by people who believe in biblical criticism and believe that everything that the Torah says is taken from other places like Enuma Elish, etc. So they mistranslated, and I have reasons to say, they mistranslated these words, trying to accommodate them with the myths of creation of the Sumerians. So they mistranslated that, saying, Taninim Gedolim, God created the great sea monsters. Where do you see sea and where do you see monsters in Taninim Gedolim? If anybody knows Hebrew. Who knows Hebrew well? You know Hebrew well, right?
Tanin,
You know Hebrew.
alligator.
What is Taninim? What is Tanin? Well, in modern Hebrew, Tanin is alligator. Okay. Gedolim?
Big.
Big. Okay. Let's take the alligator thing. Big. It is okay in Hebrew if I say translate Taninim by reptiles. It is good.
Yeah.
Biblical Hebrew is good because you find the word Taninim parallel to Nachash, to Nechashim, serpents. So crocodiles and serpents are reptiles. Okay? So my translation would be Taninim Gedolim, go ahead,
Reptile.
big reptiles, great reptiles. Anything except sea monsters. How do you say in biblical Hebrew the word monsters? In biblical Hebrew, not in modern Hebrew. Modern Hebrew is mifletzet. But how do you say in biblical Hebrew the word monsters? Guess what? There is no such a word. And please, can anybody tell me why there is no such a word in Hebrew?
No such thing.
There is no such a thing. So how come this guy translate great monster? I tell you why. Because Enuma Elish, which is the myth of creation that says that the gods were fighting among themselves and the monsters attacked the gods, and accidentally from one of the halves of the head of one of the gods, the earth was accidentally created. These people claim that our Torah copied them, which is ridiculous, which is something outrageous. Okay? But, and to base that, they mistranslated deliberately Taninim Gedolim for great sea monster. This is not the only thing that they did, but it's one of the most outrageous things that they did, most evident things, biased. All right? So now, Taninim Gedolim means great reptiles. What does it mean, dino, in Greek? What is dino? Big. What is saurus? Reptiles. In Greek, dinosaurs means big reptiles. Ooh, sounds familiar, right? Taninim Gedolim. How come we never heard this in school? How come we never heard this in school? What other way would the Torah have to tell you about the dinosaurs? Bring you a picture of Barney? What other way would have the Torah? And you know what? These are the first animals that are mentioned. Taninim Gedolim. It was always here. So again, when you see that what the Torah says and science says are not compatible because dinosaurs are not mentioned in the Torah, is because we have not read correctly one of these two books. In this case, thanks to these type of translations and other translations that are not biased but based on very old things or very old ideas or outdated ideas, we never got to the understanding of the peshat, of the literal meaning of Taninim Gedolim. Now, I'm writing a book about this. It's called Dinosaurs of the Bible. And I bring every time that the word Tanin is mentioned in the whole Tanakh. It's never monsters. It's always crocodiles, alligators, and Itirmoske Betanin, and serpents, Chamat Tirnim Yeinam, like the serpent, like Ba'il Tanin, like the staff of Moshe Rabbeinu, that was converted into a monster? Into a what? Tanin, into a snake. Snakes, serpents, crocodiles, alligators. Those are reptiles. That's Tanin, the whole Torah. Right? Gedolim, I don't need to tell you. Gedolim is big. Alright? So here are the Tanin Gedolim. Now, I want to give you another evidence, something that is very, very important. And this is very difficult to find. I tried to study. And this was perhaps the most difficult thing for me to study in the fifth day. What type of animals were created in the fifth day? What type of animals were created there? To see if it fits with dinosaurs. Okay? So, anybody ever study this in school? Did you study? Because Boreolam created animals also in the 6th day, right? So what's the difference between the animals created in the 5th day and the animals created during the 2nd day, the next day, the 6th day? What's the difference?
Flying.
All right, this is what I found out. Now, again, it will take me 1 hour to bring you all the evidence from the Hebrew and from the Mefarshim, okay? So most people will say, oh yeah, marine animals were created, but it's not only marine animals, okay?
Yet they could live in water.
Right.
And in
Yes, so what are the things that were created in this day? So I give you my conclusion, all right? And I found one rabbi that said that. One rabbi said that in 1850, right? This rabbi, his name was Morris Rafal, an Orthodox rabbi, born in Sweden, lived in London, and lived his last days in New York, and who was the first rabbi ever to address the U.S. Congress. So you cannot miss him. Okay, his name is Morris Rafal. All right. So he's the only one that said the word that I'm going to tell you right now. So what animals were created in the 5th day? Oviparous animals. Oviparous animals. What is oviparous animals? Oviparous animals are animals that are born out of ovos, huevos, eggs. Animals born out of eggs. Now, how many categories of animals you have? Now you will see something amazing also. How many categories of animals you have? You have 6 categories of animals. All right? So you have, first of all, you have from more extent, numerically, quantitatively. What is the biggest category of more species? 1 million species. Arthropods, insects. So you have like 1 million different species of arthropods. Okay. Next to it, I'm going to give you the exact number. Fish. Up to now, 26,000 species of fish were discovered and categorized or cataloged? Classified. Thank you. So 1 million species of insects, 26,000 fish. What else? 9,700 species of birds. Okay. 8,100 species of reptiles, 5,400 species of amphibians. Okay, so you see this upside down pyramid, right? All right. Now, in my study, I have seen all of them are somehow hinted in the 5th day. So, if we have to put a name or a category to the animals created in the 5th day, we are talking about oviparous. All of these are oviparous. Insects are all oviparous. Okay? Fish. Well, I know that whales are mammals. Okay, but they might not be classified as fish. Okay? Fish are all oviparous. Birds, oviparous. Reptiles, most of them oviparous. Amphibians, most of them oviparous. So you see, most animals were created here, numerically. Now, what is more developed? The oviparous or the mammals? The mammals. Mammals have also had blood. They are not cold-blooded animals. And they have their children, their offsprings within themselves. They develop the offspring. They are much more developed. When were mammals created? The 6th day. And by the way, anybody saw Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everything was created. We recreated from a dinosaur egg. So dinosaurs were mammals or oviparous?
Mammals.
Oviparous. There you go. So it fits. It fits too. Even that fits here. So you see how much wisdom, how much information is when you scratch the text a little bit. All right. Now, clear? Dinosaurs? Do I have to say more? It's here. It was always here. It's only thanks to this and a little bit to this that, what does he say? He doesn't say, I am not saying that books should say dinosaurs. Just put big reptiles. That would be enough. Just translate as it is. So what this says here, the great sea giants. Why great sea giants? Gedolim is big, is great. Sea giants, why sea? Because they were created from the water? So what? Birds were created from the water, they don't live in the sea. Birds also were created in this day. Alright? So, because of these translations and because of Morash Hoshana, kindergarten Judaism, we don't get to appreciate that the Torah is the first and only book before 1800, actually, that reports the existence of the great reptiles. Because before Richard Owen, that coined the word dinosaurs, people thought when they saw these fossils that they belong to dragons. They believe in dragons. So all what you hear about dragons are figments of the imagination of people that found these fossils. Right? The Torah is the only book that doesn't talk about monsters, doesn't talk about dragons. It tells you big reptiles, and as the oldest creatures. Alright? Now, we can go to the next one. The next one is, of course, the creation of man. Mammals. Within mammals, you have also man. At the end, after mammals were created, which is, how many mammals we have? How many species of mammals we have? 4,800. So, you see a perfect upside-down pyramid. Arthropods, fish, birds, reptiles, amphibians, mammals, man. It's so precise. Even though it's not the book of science, it's so incredibly precise what the Torah is telling us. And we don't see it. And again, you don't see the compatibility between the Torah and modern science. It's not because of modern science, it's because of us. We are not reading correctly our own Torah. Alright? So then, Vayivra Elohim et Adam. Alright, Borei Adam created man, which alludes to the creation of his neshama. As we can see in the second chapter, I'm not going to go there, but in the second chapter we have a more detailed narration of the creation of man. Man versus woman, first the body, then insufflates the neshama, etc. So, listen, besides all what I show you, I want you to appreciate the following, that the word or the verb bara appears 3 times in Bereshit. The 3 times are for a new creation, the creation of matter, the creation of life, and the creation of intelligent life. By the way, and extremely important, what are the main questions, the main flaws of evolutionary theory, evolution theory? What are the things that evolutionary theory cannot explain? There are many things they cannot explain.
The creation of first life.
Okay, first of all, they cannot explain the existence of matter. Why there is something rather than nothing? To begin with, why there is something rather than nothing? This is the biggest enigma. Second, the creation of life. There is all experiments failed. Is for a 1-hour conversation. We had this conversation one time, remember? 1-hour conversation I have to show you. But the Achilles heel, the Achilles heel of evolutionary theory, that there is no explanation for the appearance of life. There is no such thing as inorganic matter evolved into life. That's mathematically impossible. That's why they are so desperate to find life and to claim that they found life here, they found life there, really to distract from this question, which makes collapse evolution theory. Because if you cannot explain where life is coming from, but then there is another question, deeper. than this question. Human intelligence. Human intelligence is not the product of some evolutionary thing, because we have more intelligence than what we need for our survival. You understand? There is no evolutionary justification for our ability to write poetry, or philosophy, or thinking about God. These things are not a matter of survival, or for altruism, or for kindness, or for language. But when I say language, I'm not talking just about communication like chimpanzees or dolphins have. When I say language, I'm talking about our linguistic capacity. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. It's a very technical concept that we, and only us, we can think with words. That's linguistic capacity. Animals cannot think with words. So this makes us qualitatively different from all natural beings. And our rabbi said that. When the Torah describes the creation of man, "Vayalam nefesh chaya," the Targum says, "Ruach memalela." It's a spirit that has language in it. How do we communicate with God? Through language. How does God communicate with us? Through language. You understand what I'm saying by language? It's not just making sounds. Dolphins communicate for procreation, food, and survival, danger. This is what animals are capable of doing when they communicate. But they cannot think with words. This linguistic apparatus that we have, just supernatural, and is not the product of an evolutionary step. It's something God-given. Okay, this is why when humans are created, the Torah uses the word bara. It's a new thing. I just say language, it's much more than language. Language is what gives us, believe it or not, the capacity to choose. Because in order to choose, I have to think. And I think with language. When a horse chooses between water and between two instincts, between water and food, it doesn't use language, it doesn't think. It's instinct. Okay? We can formulate, we can think, we can process a thought through language. That is what makes us, we connect with God with language. That is what makes us special. Alright? And evolution has no answer for this. Why we have this incredible intelligence, much beyond what is necessary to survive and to, the species, to keep the human species alive.
Procreate.
Propagate, yeah.
Procreate.
Yeah, the species. We don't need this. We don't need the capacity that we have. All right. Okay. So, questions? Because I think I finished. I wanted to show you not just the dinosaurs, or where the dinosaurs fit.
Who translated that book?
It's a long story. This is Jewish Publication Society. Now, I have seen, because of the book I wrote about creation, I have seen, there is a book, it's called Notes on the JPS Translation. It's a book about the translators of this book and what methodology they used. So in that book, you see what I just told you, that they were biased. And the authors of this translation, among them, for example, I'm going to tell your name, Nahum Sarna, he thought that Bereshit is all coming from Enuma Elish. And he justifies these translations. Okay, I can talk to you for really an hour about this one and another one. But they deviated from Hebrew with no reason. Tanenim Gedolim is anything except, what was here? Monsters, great sea monsters. He knows that there is no word for monsters in Hebrew. It's a tragedy. Tragedy that, you know what, most people, they don't even pay attention to that. But see how we are educated. Yeah, some people say, yeah, the Torah believes in monsters. I want to show you, yeah, see monsters here. But this is because you are not seeing Hebrew. Okay, we go for one or two questions and we finish.
And how Onkelos translated?
Which one?
Onkelos.
Tanania Gedalia, no. Many times Onkelos, which is the official translation, is very important because this is the translation, the most authorized translation of the Torah. So for example, Ruach Elohim. Ruach could be wind or could be spirit. So there, Onkelos translate wind. So it's very important, this translation of Onkelos. Here it just gives you the same word. Tarenim Gedolim. It wouldn't say more.
Without translation.
Right. Almost, it's like from Aramaic to Hebrew, it's like, I say solution in English or solución in Spanish. So it's the same thing. It's just phonetic variable. So that is how it translated. We don't have, but for example, when he translates Tov Vavo, which everybody translates as chaos and vacuum and whatever, disorder, which is a Platonic translation, Onkelos translates it correctly. No life, no humans, no animals. This is what he and Targum Yonatan say. So if we would follow the Targum, we would be much more educated, or much better educated. That's one of the best books, or the best book to follow, to understand the basic of the Torah is the Targum. Everything I said is compatible with the Targum.
And how, I forget how called this translation, when you remember this Rabbaim, they put them in different rows, 70 Rabbaim, they translate the...
Oh, that book is called the Septuagint.
Yes, how did
Now the Septuagint, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we do not follow the Septuagint. Although the Septuagint was done by 70 rabbis and was done before 300 years before Targum Onkelos, the rabbis in our Gemara, they said we don't rely on this translation because it was done deliberately for non-Jews. For them to caring about the sensitivities of the women, etc. So you will never ever find the rabbis quoting the Septuagint. Whereas Targum Onkelos is called with a very important word. It's called Targum Didan. Targum Didan means our translation, which is our official translation. Let me finish with this so you understand how important is Targum. Up until now, but for 2,000 years, the Torah has always been read in public. The Torah and a child reading Targum Onkelos. Up until today, the Yemenites, they still do it. They read the Torah, and after each pasuk, one child is reading Targum Onkelos. And up until today, we have a mitzvah in the Shulchan Aruch to read every week Shenai Mikra ve'echad Targum. Twice every pasuk with Targum Onkelos. So you see how important is that Targum to the Torah, or how critical it is. So when you have the wrong translation, then you have a lot of confusion. And you will not find dinosaurs that are there in our Torah. Thank you very much.